one of our students was helping her grandfather celebrate his birthday. And she asked her grandfather, "Gramps, how old are you?" And Grandpa said, "Granddaughter, I'm 80. The little girl looked up at him and said, "Did you start at 1? So you got to be careful, but we're trying to start at 1 with the voting, right? You're 1, so let's start at 1. The ballot proposition, look at this document. It says it's a simple question. Authorizing the Board of Trustees of Galveston ISD to purchase attendance credits from the state with local tax revenues for or against. That is the entire ballot. So it's a simple thing. Let me give you a little background on it. In 1992 and 93, the state of Texas created an equalization of wealth law called Robin Hood, affectionately known as Robin Hood. It's not exactly known as Robin Hood at the state level. And actually, Galveston received money from that law from 1992 to 2006. So Galveston was a poor district from 1992 to 2006. So we received money from the equalization of wealth law. In 2006, the district got a wonderful letter. And the wonderful letter says, "Congratulations, you are now wealthy enough to actually give money." Isn't that neat? And I mean, nobody really likes to get that letter, right? But over 300 schools in Texas have gotten that wonderful letter. So the Board of Trustees in 2006, I wasn't here, but the Board of Trustees in 2006 did what they were supposed to do. What you're supposed to do is call an election and give your voters a choice about ways to equalize wealth. So in 2006 they did so, but in order to save money, they called an election at the next possible time when the board was having an election anyway, so they wouldn't cost any extra money. That happened to be November 2006. Guess what else happened in November 2006? We were electing the governor of Texas, and so it was a big election. 10,000 people voted in that election, and Galveston ISD lost that vote by 106 votes out of 10,000. Okay? Now, I don't think the issue was probably explained very well back then, so that's what we've been trying to do now. Let me give you this example. If you look at this, you could say, it says, do you want to give money to the state? No. Do you want to give money to other schools? Those were the two questions asked in 2006. No. I don't want to give money to the state. I don't want to give money to other schools. That seems reasonable, right? Except the law says there's 5 ways to equalize wealth. 2 of them require voter approval, these 2. 2 others do not require voter approval. And what we're going to do is, the other one is consolidation of schools with another district. The other one is de-annexation of property, which is what the state said they will do if we vote no. Now let's put this in a little perspective. Galveston currently, we give 25 cents of every dollar. So if we collect $1, we give away 25 cents to the state. Now, we've been setting that money aside, okay? So the state of Texas did something neat in 2006 because no other district before or since has ever voted like Galveston. Every other district has voted to equalize their wealth. They understood the rules, it was explained to them, they voted to do it, made some choices. So, but the legislature said, probably because Craig Island and some other dynamic legislators were there, we're going to fix this for Galveston. Galveston voted no, so we're going to fix it. So here's the way we're going to fix it. We're going to create something called the Galveston offset, which means that if the state of Texas owes Galveston $10 million and Galveston owes the state $9 million, then the state will just send us $1 million. All is okay, right? That way we haven't paid the state because the voters said we can. But the state didn't pay us everything they owed, so it all equals out. Well, that worked in 2006, 7, 8, 9. I got here in 2010. And, you know, I've been a superintendent for a while, about 25 years. I understand the school finance formula. And I was looking at the school finance formula and looking at the options, and the offset didn't work. I mean, we had an arithmetic problem, okay? Basically, we owed the state more than they owed us by $1.7 million. So Mr. Dworsky and I were sitting here trying to figure out what to do. By the way, when the board interviewed me, they forgot to mention that we were the only district in the state that had voted no. They didn't mention that. And so we were trying to sort this out. So we just checked the box that said Galveston offset. There wasn't any good box. So we checked that one, mailed it in. The state approved it. We went on and had school. 1.7 million set aside. Next year comes up. The gap is now 4.5 million. Check the box, mail it in, state approves it, set that money aside. Okay, that's no big deal. Next box comes in, next year comes in, this year, last year, 5 million deficit. I mean, more, we owe the state 5 million more than they owe us. So, check the box, mail it in, everything's good. So we're thinking, by now we have $10 million sitting over here that belongs to the state of Texas, and we can't pay it, but it's set aside. And we're not earning interest on it, unfortunately, as you all know, in the interest world for public schools. But it's okay. So this year, it's right around 5 million. We get ready to check the box and send it in again. And the state tells us, Galveston offset doesn't work for you. And they ask a very important question. When are you going to have your election? And we also found out that the lady who actually approved the last 3 years is no longer working at the Texas Education Agency. I don't really know why, but I'm just telling you that she's not employed there. So we're out explaining the concept here. We are going to have to equalize wealth. And before you start feeling sorry for Galveston at 25 cents of every dollar, you should visit with my friends in Highland Park, who, by the way, pay 70 cents of every dollar, okay? There is one school district in the state, I can't remember the name, has a big plant and not many kids. I think they pay close to 90%, okay? And so the district I came from, Calhoun County ISD, pays 56% and was never. Calhoun County ISD was wealthy in '92 and they're still wealthy today, so they never got any money. They've been a contributor the whole time. That's the state finance. And before you think that's bad, let me tell you, let's play the difference between Hitchcock and Galveston, right next door. Hitchcock has $500 million worth of property value. So a penny of taxes in Hitchcock, Texas raises $50,000. Galveston has $7 billion worth of property value. $2 billion of it is frozen homesteads, so $5 billion worth of property value. A penny of taxes in Galveston raises $500,000. So the state of Texas decided, the Supreme Court, the legislature, decided that your education should not depend on your zip code. So we have to equalize. Now, I don't like equalizing. It's not something I want to do. But the state has said to us, let's be clear, if you do not want to give away your wealth, property, your money, then we're going to make you not wealthy. Not a problem. Then you won't have to. And how are they going to do that? They're going to de-annex property. The law says what they will do. First, they will take all the mineral property. Minerals don't vote, you know. And so the mineral property are $32 million. They need to get $1 billion from Galveston in taxable value, not in cash, in taxable value, before we're not wealthy anymore. So the second thing the law says they would do is take commercial property. The total value of all the commercial property in Galveston ISD on Bolivar and Galveston Island is around $640 million. So I want you to think about the Galvez, the San Luis, all the restaurants, this building is probably a commercial enterprise. All these buildings will pay taxes, not to Galveston ISD, but to Hitchcock. Why Hitchcock? Because Hitchcock is the closest poor school. Now, that's $1 billion worth of taxable value. And they would, then that's still not enough. 32 million, 600 million, they need $1 billion. Then they could go and get some other property, maybe start at the end of the West End and come as far as they needed, and those people would be in Hitchcock ISD. They might come right across the causeway and get over at Teichman Road. I mean, nobody knows what they're going to do because it won't be our choice. We have a choice right now. We can vote for this and keep our taxable value for the long-term future, or we can vote against this and say to the state, we don't want to play, and the state's going to say, well, that's fine. We're going to come get your property so you don't have to play. And so basically this choice is money versus property. Let's also talk about tax rate. Galveston ISD, because we have a high taxable value, has one of the lowest tax rates for school districts in about 50 miles. Our tax rate is $1.16. And we give a 20% homestead exemption, which is the largest homestead exemption that the law allows, 20%. Okay, quite a few districts in Texas give a $5,000 homestead exemption. If your house is worth, $500,000, you get a $5,000 homestead exemption, that's it. In Galveston, 20%. Okay, so that's a big deal. Okay? And let's look at Hitchcock's tax rate. Hitchcock's tax rate is $1.54. Ours is $1.16. If you drive by Hitchcock, you find out they have really nice new high school. They have a really nice new football field, turf. You can help pay for that if that's what you want to do, because that's available to you. So your tax rate, the commercial business's tax rate would increase, maybe not to $1.54, but certainly more than $1.16. And guess what would happen to everybody else's tax rate in Galveston if we vote against? Your tax rate would go up because you pass bonds. And those bonds now, we've refinanced them all and saved about $11 million on refinancing when the rate was good here. But we have a $6 million bond payment every year, okay? And in order to make that bond payment, we have to assess the taxable value. So if you have a taxable value of $5 billion to make a $6 million bond payment, it's obviously less than if you have $4 billion to tax on to make that bond payment. So your taxes locally will go up as well if you vote against this. So I'm not here to tell you how to vote. I'm here to tell you the consequences. that if we as a district vote against, then the state of Texas will de-annex property. It will be their choice what they de-annex. I want to ask you this question. Once they de-annex this property, you think you're going to get it back? I mean, let's say that, I mean, it's going to be taxed by Hitchcock 10 years from now. Probably 20 years from now. Okay? So I mean, that's the against vote. The for vote lets you keep your tax rate the same. Lets GISD get in line with everybody else. Remember, right now there are 3 categories of schools. There's the wealthy schools who pay their Robin Hood assessment. There are the poor schools who receive Robin Hood assessment. And there is Galveston. And that's not a good place to be. I mean, we get audited a lot in Galveston. Part of the reason we get audited a lot, if you're a state auditor and you have a choice to decide where you're going to audit, and maybe your choice is a Central Texas little town, or Galveston. Where might you want to go? You might decide, I think I'm going to go to Galveston. I'm going to eat some seafood while we're on the beach, and we'll audit that town. Yeah, let's go there first. And so we get a chance today, and we're doing okay on all the audits. But I'd like to get off that list. We're on the list here. So basically, early voting is today, along with the rest of this week and next week. You might notice here at the bottom there's an important yellow highlight. Once again, in Galveston, we like to be first, I think. The legislature created a new law, and it says in order to vote in Texas, you have to have a photo ID. This is not a Galveston ISD law. This is a state of Texas law. But guess when the first election, and I don't think it's the first in the whole state. I think there might be one other that happened somewhere in Texas before us. But we're the first in this area, and one of the very first in the state, where if you run into the voting precinct with your voter registration card, which is what you've done in the past, what they're going to do is say, thank you, we're glad you're here to vote. Where is your photo ID? And then you're going to get to, if you're a guy, you probably got your driver's license and your billfold, you're going to pull it out. They're actually going to scan it. And if you're a lady and you just brought in your voter ID, you're going to have to run back out to the car and get your purse and so forth. So trying to save you that trouble, we're voting at 39th and T, the central office, and we have parking places for you. It's easy to get in and out. You don't have to walk upstairs. You come right in, you park, come in and read this long, complicated ballot, and then, which is really for or against, and you come and you vote, and you're in and out in a very short period of time. And so I would encourage you to do so soon.